Shubhanshu,
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
good afternoon. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Shubhanshu, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Sir, my name is Shubhansu Katiyar. I come from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. I have done my graduation in electrical engineering from IIT Bombay, and recently I have been allotted the Indian Information Service through the reserve list.
Indian Information Service.
Yes, sir.
So, have you joined that?
Yes, sir. I joined a month back. Yes, sir.
So, do you still want to come to civil service?
Yes, sir. It was never my plan to go through the reserve list. In fact, I was not even sure that I'll be in the reserve list. So I was already in the preparation mode. That's why.
Okay. And what will you be doing at Information Service?
Sir, in information service, I've taken the extraordinary leave to prepare for the civil service.
No, that's fine. But what you would be doing if you join there, what
Yes,
you would
yes.
be doing?
So the job profile of the information service is to act as a channel of communication between the government and the citizens to pass on authentic government information and raise awareness about their programs.
So, what are your reasons for coming to civil service?
Sir, it was always my dream to be in the civil service, especially the IAS. It is a very prestigious job, and also it would give me the opportunity to contribute to making policies of the nation. So that would give me a lot of satisfaction. Yes, sir.
What do you mean prestigious?
Sir, civil services, the candidates who get in the civil services and who do a very good job, they are respected throughout, such as TN Sessions, sir, who work out the electoral reforms. He is very well respected, and he'll be remembered long after he is gone. So that in that way, civil services are very prestigious.
But that opportunity is in every other field, doctors, teachers, those who really do well, they shine in any field.
Yes,
But
sir, that is
what is special about civil service?
that is true, but the civil services and especially in the IAS, they are designed as the all India services, and the amount of opportunity that these services give you to make a change, it is unprecedented and not comparable to other, let's say, private service jobs.
What do you mean by opportunities?
Sir, civil servants are directly related in policy making that have an impact on pan India level or pan district level. So whereas working in a private sector would be limited to your firm and your customers. So the impact is larger.
But policy making, maybe after 20 years of your service, in last 10, 15 years of your service, you may be in the secretariat to make policy. Most of the initial phase is not really policy making, isn't it?
So, sir, even in the initial phase, when you, let's say, are in charge of a district or even a sub-district, you can bring change, and through your ideas, you can impact the people. So it is not that that freedom is not there at lower levels.
Okay. Now you are electric engineer
Yes, sir.
and BTech. Now tell me, USA has 110 volt, and we and most of the other countries are using 220 volt. What are the reasons for choosing these two? Is there any third system other than 110, 220?
Yes, sir. For high voltage transmissions, there are technologies like high voltage DC. They go up to kilovolts, 1.5 kilovolts, etc. So that is used to reduce transmission losses.
Okay. So the reasons for choosing either 110 or 220 is just arbitrary.
No, sir.
Are there any particular advantage of one or the other system?
Choosing a specific voltage is also related to the power rating of the electronic equipments. The equipments are designed so as to be standardized at a particular voltage. That is why most countries choose these systems.
Okay. Now your hobbies are playing video games. What
Yes.
kind of video games do you play?
Sir, I play both like single player games. I also play also the multiplayer ones, such as Counter Strike or Rocket League, which is a football game. Yes, sir, those kind of games I
Okay,
also.
so ball game, that's what you play. And what is this classical geometry?
So classical geometry is the one that was developed by ancient Greeks, and it is also taught to us in our class 9th and 10th. It is the exposure in those classes is less, but there is a very deep theory in that. So I'm trying to study that. I was always passionate about it.
Okay. Now, that for last 2 months or even more, this war is going on between Ukraine and Russia.
Yes, sir.
Give me one reason why this war has started and it continues.
Sir, the main reason because the war started was because of possibilities of expansion of NATO, and the reason that Ukraine could go towards NATO. That was the reason because Russia felt threatened and invaded Ukraine. And now uh, you, Russia is trying to take away the areas, especially that in the Donbas regions that are uh, controlled by Russian-backed separatists. So uh, it is trying to enlarge its borders.
But is it justified on part of Russia?
Uh, uh, Invading Ukraine was not justified because uh, uh, there was no explicit mention that Ukraine was going to join NATO. It was in the talks. So if it was finalized, let's say, then it could have been justified. But uh, the current action, I think, was taken in haste.
But isn't Ukraine independent country that it can decide whatever it wants to do?
Yes, sir, that is true. But uh, given the context of Second World War and in the Cold War, these uh, frontier areas that have traditionally been part of Russian influence, and it is necessary to have a buffer to avoid any kind of future conflict that may even escalate into a nuclear war. So it is necessary to be pragmatic about it and not go into uh, making threats about
So
joining
you
NATO.
think it has a genesis somewhere buried in the breakdown of USSR?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, who should arbitrate and oversee this kind of conflict?
So ideally, it should be the United Nations that has the mandate to stop the wars across the world.
But why it is not doing anything?
So that is because the Russians have exercised their veto power, and the United Nations Security Council is especially weak in handling cases when it involves one of the P5 countries. So they could veto any possible action. That is why they have been ineffective.
So you think that the UNO has outlived its purpose?
Yes, I think to some extent because the context in which it was made was that there were these strong powers that had emerged out of the World War, and now the world has changed drastically. It has become multipolar, and so an expansion of the Security Council and more democratization is needed to keep it relevant.
So you think the world has become multipolar or unipolar or bipolar?
So, currently, it seems that the world has now again become kind of bipolar. One is the US-led Western alliance, and the other has come in the form of Russia-China axis. But other powers such as India and Mexico and Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, these developing powers are also coming. So in the coming uh, decades, it could become multipolar.
And how will this war affect economics in India?
Yes, sir. The one way that it has started affecting is the rise in oil prices. Uh, because because of sanctions, the Russian gas has been stopped, and so European countries are now buying more coal. So that has led to global coal shortage, and now we are also experiencing power cuts because of that shortage of coal. And yeah, there could also be the food crisis that could happen because Russia and Ukraine are the major producers and exporters of wheat that could cause inflation in food as well.
But what can India do or could have done to minimize this impact on our economics? I'm just talking about economics.
Sir, we should have first of all, sir, predicting such a decision was not possible, but we should have uh, uh, we should have boosted our coal production because the energy requirement of India is rapidly rising, and we had made a step in that direction when we liberalized the coal sector. But those private sector companies are not yet coming to in the mining sector, so that we could have done.
Okay, my final question. Do you think it was good for the Indian government to withdraw the 3 farm laws?
Yes, sir. I think that was good. Actually, sir, I think that the purpose behind those laws was good to bring more to increase the farmer income through farming, contract farming, etc. But the way that it was done without consulting the parliament, and it was introduced through the ordinance route. So because of that, it generated a lot of distrust and government was not able to convince the farmers about its intentions. So in that way, I think its withdrawal was good.
So you think it was withdrawn because of the laws were not good, or because it's a strategic withdrawal to reframe it?
Sir, it could be reframed in again with the help of more consultations with firstly from farmer groups, so and also with the parliament. So it could be reintroduced later.
But so you think the laws are good?
Yes, sir. I think the laws were good.
But then why government is not able to convince farmers?
That was because there was mistrust in the farmers. Why the government took the ordinance route, and why, and there was also misinformation that it would lead to destruction of MSP, which was not true. That was not the intention. Because of misinformation also played a role.
Okay, thank you, Shubhanshu. Dr. Ramesh, please.
Shubhansu Katiyar ji, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So what do you mean by Shubhanshu? I mean, what is the meaning of the word, your name, Shubhanshu?
So Shubhanshu is another name of Lord Chandra, the Lord of Moon.
You opted postal service as number 6.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are already in Indian Information Service based on your last year performance in Indian Civil Service Examination. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are 24 years old.
Yes, sir.
Now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is the 3rd attempt of yours.
Yes,
that means right from 21 years, you have been attempting civil services.
Yes, sir.
Now you are from IIT Mumbai, and you got extraordinary score in IIT Mumbai. I was going through DAF, 9.74 or something.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I think one was one of the highest, perhaps, in the history.
No, sir. I was ranked 4th in my department.
Oh, 4th. So when you have such a wonderful, you are 4th topper in IIT Electrical Engineering, and electrical engineering is second preferred, perhaps after computer science and electronics in IIT.
Yes, sir.
So your IIT rank also must have been a very fairly high rank in JEE.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise,
yes.
What was it in JEE?
So 188th rank.
188th rank on merit on
all over India, sir. On common merit list.
And that too just on the first attempt itself.
Yes, sir.
That means you are an extraordinary scholar, an extraordinary achiever by any standards, and that too from a very ordinary lower middle class background that your father's income indicates to me.
Yes, sir.
And that means then why do you come to this postal service or things like that? I mean, you will be wasting, are you not wasting your career? Maybe one day when all your attempts are exhausted, you are not getting anything. Your colleagues who completed the IIT with you may be earning some $500,000 per annum. That means maybe around 20 times your salary. How will you write to reconcile that kind of possible trouble?
Yes, sir. It is correct that private sector, if I would have joined the private sector, it would have given me more monetary returns. But I have discussed this with my seniors and other friends who have joined the corporate sector, and they say that that sector is not very satisfying. It involves a lot of work, and it is not satisfying because your work is limited to the company. It is all very repetitive, and I was always inclined towards civil service. I had a thought about this, but after that, I came to realize that I would be better suited to civil service.
What about going to abroad and doing an MS and again coming back and taking civil service? You have years with you.
Yes, sir. I also thought about that because I was interested in mathematics. I thought I should pursue a career in research, but I realized that I don't have that research mindset. I like to study mathematics, but I am not willing to put 5 years or 10 years to a particular field.
So you want to confine yourself to public service.
Yes, sir.
Trying to self-actualize yourself and try to get a satisfied work. And that means that is for people of India. That is the one that inspires you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very nice. And your optional is mathematics. That's also very rare. Engineers very rarely go for engineering or mathematics. I'm glad to see that you are a very thorough scholar in mathematics, and it will be a great asset to Indian Administrative Service to have persons like you. Coming to my brass tack questions, I have not started the interview. I just wanted to know.
Yes,
that's why I asked you this. Now, what's your opinion on coaching institutes in Kota? Did you take coaching in IIT JEE?
Sir, I did not take any explicit coaching. The one program that I took was an integrated one where I went to the school, and instead of the physics, chemistry, and mathematics teachers of the school, the coaching teachers used to teach there. So it was.
No, I just wanted to ask you. I'm glad that you did not take coaching.
Yes, sir.
You think in Kota and Rajasthan, which is infamous for many reasons,
yes, sir,
wherein the youth are being rugged day in and day out, and no sports, nothing for them, and some of them commit suicide, and the administration takes a blind eye because they don't want to lose the. What is your opinion on that? Supposing you get, even though you have given Rajasthan as number 6 in your zone, you don't want to go to Rajasthan. Supposing, by God forbid, you go to Rajasthan and you become a Kota district collector, what step will you take? Will you also be silent because Chief Minister told you to so? Or will you take because having been an IIT scholar yourself par excellence?
Sir, I will not bow down to pressure. I think I understand. I have seen people who have come from Kota. They are already very exhausted. They are not able to put in their efforts, and they lag behind in college as well. So, and the main reason is that because these students, they are put in hostels and they are cut off from outside life. And the main reason is that because they are enrolled in dummy schools, because the schools there, they only allow you to give the exams, and attendance does not matter. So because of that, socialization is also cut off. So I would take an action against these dummy schools and make it mandatory for children to attend schools.
Nice. Very nice. Exactly. You hit it at the point, name. Good. Now, Thomas Alva Edison was one of the greatest electrical engineers ever lived.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from him?
Sir, I learned that the success does not come at your first try. He also failed almost 1,000 times. He kept on changing the filaments to generate the electric.
You agree with APJ Kalam when you said failure is the first attempt to learning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Who is the parallel to Thomas Alva Edison in India? The greatest ever living legend, or the greatest ever legend of Indian engineers among engineers.
Sir, I think Vikram Sarabhai, I would say.
Whose birthday we celebrate as Engineers Day in India?
Yes, Visvesvaraya, sir.
Yes. Visvesvaraya is the real parallel to Thomas Alva Edison.
Yes, sir.
Vikram Sarabhai, of course, is one of the greatest men, no doubt.
Yes, sir.
Now, joblessness growth, joblessness, according to February 22 statistics by Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy. What was the percentage? Is it between 7 and 8, 8 and 9, 9 and 10, or 1 and 2?
Sir, it is between 8 and 9. I think it was 8.1%, I believe.
You are wrong. Anyway, check it up. It was 7.44. Check it up.
Okay, sir.
But anyway, you are nearly proximate. And Infosys was recently given a notice by Labor Commissioner. That was with regard to a complaint which is linked to you in some way. What is the linkage to you about that? And what was the complaint under which section of law?
Sir, the founder of Infosys, Mr. Nandan Nilekani.
Founder, of course, he worked in Tata Motors. That's okay. No, that is not the founder. Founder did not complain about Infosys.
Yes.
It was not Narayan Murthy. G.
Sir, I'm not aware of it.
It was from Pune. The organization is from Pune, and you are from Pune, right?
Yes, sir. I live there. I'm from Kanpur. I've lived there for last 5-10 years.
But you have given in home state as Maharashtra, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
0 preference state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, please tell me Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law in electrical law? I mean, we study Ohm's law in physics.
Yes,
What's
sir.
that? What do you learn from it? How do you apply in Indian administration?
Ohm's law gives the power, the voltage difference, and the relation between voltage difference and the current that passes through a resistor is V equals IR.
What is IR? What is V?
V is the voltage drop across the resistor.
R is resistance. What is I?
I is the current that flows through the resistor.
R is?
R is the resistance of
R is measured in ohms.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That means in administration, where do you apply? In formulas, how do you apply the Ohm's law? In formulas which the chairman asked you, how do you apply Ohm's law? Can you apply Ohm's law in formulas? Failure or whatever? There is a resistance of the farmers.
Yes, sir.
There is an voltage difference. What is the voltage difference? The government did not take all stakeholders into an affiliate discussion, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
Ohm's law can be applied to Indian administration. You agree with it?
Yes, sir. In that way, can be applied.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. Thank you for agreeing. Now,
Okay,
you are from IIT. Jeff Bezos or
yes, sir.
Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. These three, among these three. Whom do you like maximum and why?
Sir, I like Elon Musk because he has invested in emerging technologies such as the space sector. It was a very innovative.
I have a counter question.
Yes, sir.
Jeff Bezos produced lakhs, millions of jobs throughout the world.
Yes, sir.
Elon Musk did.
Yes, sir. That is correct. But I like Elon Musk because of his innovative thinking. Definitely, his social impact is not as big as the other ones. Especially Bill Gates has done a lot of philanthropic work. But
no, I'm not saying Bill Gates. I said Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Steve Jobs.
Yes, sir.
You think Steve Jobs is less innovative than Elon Musk? You have an Apple 4, I suppose.
No, sir, I don't have.
Okay, fine. That's why you don't like Steve Jobs. That's okay. My last question to you is, if you become an IPS officer, which I think you have given second preference to IPS.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
If you become an IPS officer, what addition do you bring to that I from your I? That is Indian Institute of Technology, that Indian Police Service. That I and I both are same. Indian.
Yes, sir. The use of technology could be used in policing to make it smart police, such as the installation of security cameras and use of data analytics, use of artificial intelligence and face recognition. These technologies would definitely make policing more efficient.
And you don't want to use your engineering skills in trying to measure the efficiencies of your men? An engineer, what is the difference between an engineer and a non-engineer?
Sir,
An
engineers,
engineer speaks in exactitude. He speaks in numbers. He doesn't beat around bush. When a
Yes, sir.
switch is on, the bulb has to be on. There are no ifs and buts. There are no theories. Supposing this and that, what is there? Dunya goal hai. बस अभी मर जाएंगे. This kind of useless things is not told by an engineer, right?
Yes, sir.
What is that impact that you'll bring as an engineer in policing? Will you allow the political interference with your subordinate staff, or you will handle it yourself?
Sir, I will not allow the political interference. We have seen its consequences. There was a case in Maharashtra where a subordinate police officer had connections with the political
As
bosses.
a result, a police commissioner has to be declared as a bhagoda.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Shubhanshu,
Yes, sir.
as you must be aware, that we are having trouble on our northern borders with China.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what exactly is the basic issue?
So the basic issue is about the land borders that have not been settled as of yet, and there are competing claims. China claims that Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin are a part of China, and India also stakes that claim. Whereas the realities are that India controls Arunachal Pradesh and China has control over most of Aksai Chin.
Okay. But do you feel that our contention is based on some law, something concrete, or it's only a question of claim and a counterclaim?
It is based on a settlement that was done by the British, especially the part around Aksai Chin, that that does not have any legal uh, agreement after the independence of India and China. It is based in history.
Okay. Okay. So now that Russia, China, and Pakistan axis seems to be emerging, what is the security scenario for us? Do you feel that joining Quad was the correct decision on part of India?
Yes, sir. Because India has followed an independent and multi-aligned policy. Especially now, we have moved towards multi-alignment. We are also a part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and now we have become a part of Quad. So we have balanced all these major powers.
But India claims that we were non-aligned and we will continue to have strategic autonomy. Do you feel that our claim is correct?
Yes, sir. We have been able to maintain our strategic autonomy, but over reliance on some powers such as Russia has limited our choices. We were not able to, let's say, fully condemn the invasion on Ukraine, which we hold that the values of sovereignty and territorial integrity, those we were not able to uh, uphold on the international forum.
Okay.
So, yes,
You must have heard a statement that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And
yes,
therefore, separation of power is one of the basic principles for a success of a functioning democracy. Do you feel that Indian system has a strict separation of power? And if no, then is Indian democracy in some kind of a trouble?
sir. The strict separation of powers is a concept in the presidential system, whereas in the parliamentary system, uh, we were we that is based on the collaboration and cooperation between different uh, organs of the government. But there have been checks and balances to restore any kind of anomalous behavior uh, by any organ of the government. So I don't think that we are in trouble because of that.
Okay. There are no permanent friends or permanent enemies in the international politics. There are only permanent interests. Do you feel that Indian foreign policy conforms to this dictum?
Yes, sir. I think that Indian foreign policy is based on protecting our interests. We earlier held a very idealistic view, and we took the Kashmir issue to the UN, which produced bad results for us. And now we have adopted a more pragmatic approach. We have banned any kind of foreign interference in our bilateral relations, uh, even though international law would promote such a thing. So we have permanent interests rather than permanent friends or enemies.
Okay, thank you.
Shubhanshu, how are you?
I'm fine.
We were recently speaking about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs, right? And you mentioned that Elon Musk is someone you are greatly inspired by, largely because of the innovations that he does. Now, can you tell me any reason why Elon Musk decides to name one of his companies Tesla?
So Nikola Tesla uh, was a great inventor as well, and he is related to the field of electricity and magnetism. The magnetic field is measured in Tesla, so because of that, his company could have been named Tesla.
All right. And we were also speaking about Edison and India's equivalent of Edison. Now, between Edison and Tesla, who do you think is a better innovator and an inventor?
So, I would say Edison was a bigger inventor. He has held most patents in uh, history. He has invented over 900 inventions.
Edison has more than 1,000 patents, and Tesla would have about 300, 400 patents. But that's also because Edison had more people working for him than Tesla. So he was able to get more help for him to get more innovations and tech and research patented. That does not necessarily make him a better inventor, does it?
Yes, sir, that does not make him a better. You are correct, sir. I agree with that.
Any other reason why you think Edison was better than Tesla?
So I'm unable to think of any reason.
Okay. Now, primarily, what was the difference in the form of technology that Edison was working on versus Tesla was working on? Form of current. You're an electrical engineering graduate. So, what form of current were they primarily differentiated in terms of their work?
Edison was working on direct current, and Tesla is known for alternating current.
And between direct current and alternative current, which has more applications in the future in the world?
Alternating current has more
So that would make Tesla a better innovator than Edison.
yes, sir. Looking back now, it seems like his ideas were more applicable.
My second question for you is, we gathered that you studied from the IIT Bombay, right?
Yes.
It isn't called IIT Mumbai, right? Is it High Court of Mumbai or High Court of Bombay?
It is High Court of Bombay.
Is it High Court of Chennai or High Court of Madras?
Madras.
Is it High Court of Calcutta or High Court of Kolkata?
Calcutta.
But Calcutta is now Kolkata. Madras is now Chennai. Bombay is now Mumbai. So why is IIT Bombay still IIT Bombay and not IIT Mumbai?
So that is because the change of name of the city was carried out very recently, around 20, 30 years ago. And by that time, IIT Bombay already had gained a lot of reputation. Because of that, they decided not to change their name.
Who's they?
The board of directors and also the IIT Council, they have decided to retain the names
And
of.
what gave the board of directors the power to decide the name? If the name of the city from Bombay to Mumbai was changed by whom?
That was done by the central government.
The central government.
Yes, sir.
The central government has the powers to change the name of a city in India?
You know, sir, it is the state government.
And IITs are under the center or the state?
They are autonomous.
But
They
under
have
the central government or the state government? Who's funding
the
the
central government.
right? So if the names of the IITs have to change, they have to be done as per central will or state will.
Under the central.
Correct.
Central.
Now I understand IITs are also what are called institutions of national importance, right?
Yes,
So what does that make? What is it that IITs get when they become institutions of national importance?
so they gain autonomy in their functioning. They could hire professors and carry out courses and design their curriculums in a way that that is not maybe recommended by the UGC. They have that autonomy to gain maximum efficiency and innovation.
But since when does the UGC have any regulatory power over IITs? Isn't IIT offering technical education per se? Of course, there are a few IITs which offer courses in economics and all of those, but IITs dominantly offer technical education, right?
Yes, sir.
And technical education is largely under the purview of the All India Council for Technical Education.
Yes, sir.
UGC would anyways have very limited control. And
Yes.
IITs are also now institutions of eminence, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is it that IITs get by becoming institutions of eminence?
First is that they get more freedom to collaborate with international institutions, and they could hire foreign students and faculties.
Why have
Also,
they given that status? What is this institutions of eminence scheme all about?
it is to get the Indian institutions in global rankings, top 500 and eventually under top 100.
Top 100.
Top 100.
Now, my final question to you, you are somebody who genuinely has an interest in maths, right? Now, there's something called the Kahler's maths problem or the Cycross maths problem, okay? Do you have a pen and paper in front of you?
Pen and paper, yes, sir, I have.
Okay, keep a pen and paper in front of you. Think of any positive integer. Let's keep it simple. Think of any positive integer between 1 and 9. Any positive integer. Okay. The number that you have thought of, if it is an odd number, you multiply that number by 3 and add 1. If
Yes,
it is an even number, then you divide that number by 2. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what is the number that you've chosen?
I've chosen 7.
Okay. So multiply 7 by 3 plus 1.
22.
Divide 22 by 2.
11.
Yes. Keep doing it.
11 goes to 34, then 17, then 52, then 13, then 40, then 20, then 10, then 5, then 16, and 8, 4, 2, 1.
What are the last 3 numbers that you got?
4, 2, and 1.
Any positive number in the history of mathematics, if you apply this rule 2, the last 3 numbers are going to be 4, 2, and 1.
Yes, sir.
What is this maths problem called?
So I've read about it. I'm unable to recall now.
Oh.
It is a famous unsolved problem.
One of the most famous, it's one of the most famous unsolved problems in the history of mathematicians in the world.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Shubhanshu,
Yes, sir.
when is your interview?
In a week on 9th of May.
On 9th of May. And you have appeared once before
Yes, sir.
in this interview. What was your mark?
176.
176. Okay. So there's a lot of scope for improving the last score that you had. And if I may ask you, what do you think about your mock interview today?
It went almost like it went in the final interview last time.
What does it mean? There's no, you're not optimistic, it is not improved?
It is like that only. I think it was average.
Where do you think you could have done better?
I could have read more about my DAF related questions, like IIT's regulation and mathematics.
We all think that you have done very well, and of course, there is always a scope for improvement. Since you have about a week's time, I think nothing that specific that we want to recommend, except that prepare your DAF details very well. Every aspect of, for example, you written Pune, electric engineering, your hobbies. You can be thorough about all of this that may come out of your DAF.
Yes, sir.
So prepare it very well. And other than that, the current affairs, especially the recent happening about 20 or so current affairs issues that you can master, and you can be very concise about it. One thing we noticed that you were quite nervous during interview. Are
So
you?
yes, so this was actually the first mock interview that I'm giving. I'm going to give only one.
Okay, so that is a good thing, that don't run around and waste your time. This board is going to tell you very clearly that you have all the potential, and we are all very confident that you will do very well. There is no need to unnecessarily fear the board. Board is very gentle and very courteous, very gentle, and there is nothing to fear. So what you can do in next 1 week is prepare some of the current events well. And your electric engineer, I asked you about 110, 220, you were not able to say anything about that. So I think those kind of gaps, you should not give the opportunity to the board. But otherwise, I think only advice we have is that don't be nervous, prepare whatever you can about current affairs and your DAF, and we are confident that you will do very well this time. Also, think about and prepare the district level administration. Many times those issues come up. What is the role of collector? What you will be doing as a collector in first 15 days of your office? Those kind of functions of a district magistrate will come up. Who are the other officials in that structure, etc. What are the other government schemes, important government schemes like Ujjwala?
Yes, so that I've already prepared well.
So we didn't ask you, but those things may come up at any time. And if you do that and a little bit of practice in front of mirror or even with some friend, just have a good confidence in your articulation, in your understanding the question, and then coming out with very succinct answers and a priority wise. If the answer is 3 or 4 points, give the first one with the priority so that the board will immediately understand that yes, you have a grasp of that particular topic. And occasionally, if you have to say that, sorry, I'm not aware about it, that is fine. Hopefully, you will not have to do too many times, but once or twice, if you can say, there's nothing wrong, it doesn't count against you. So, do you have any questions for any of us?
So nothing in particular.
So, Shubhanshu, we all wish you very well. And one more thing, when you entered this interview, you said good morning.
So my interview is in the morning session.
No, but this, here you have to be realistic in interacting with this board. So you don't have to memorize that. There you have to say good morning. So every time you say good morning, and you have to appropriately see the time. And we all wish you very well. And if you have any further questions, Unacademy is there, and you can contact them. And we wish you all the best.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.